Did you know that there's a secret recipe for accelerated awakening and feeling a whole lot more empowered and alive? Having worked with thousands of people, I've distilled this super secret special sauce recipe to a concentrated list of only 6 ingredients. Today we're going to talk about what the recipe is, what the ingredients are, and how you can take advantage of this secret special sauce so you can transcend challenge, keep growing and raising your frequency resonance, and start creating the life you want. And after the discussion, we get to the most important part of this episode. The group frequency calibration at the end is where the frequency work happens and where change actually occurs, so be sure to listen to that. Without releasing distortion patterns targeted by the GFC, the change you want will be more difficult to attain because you haven't addressed the root of the issue. My name is Karen Cheong, and today in Mastering Your World Through Frequencies, we're discussing the secret special sauce for accelerated awakening.
Wow, super secret special sauce.
Yeah.
This is Karen's secret recipe?
I think so.
Are we gonna have like burgers? Okay, so you've decided there is a super sauce, right? And that it's something that we should always have.
Yes.
Right. So what's in your super secret
Special sauce.
special sauce?
Well, the super secret special sauce makes everything better. It does. So what we're referring to actually is the 6 core essentials. Because when you start to master these 6 core essentials, it doesn't really matter what frequency resonance you're at. It actually allows you to increase your frequency resonance. It also empowers you to feel like you're more in control of. I know control sounds funny because I always talk about control and wanting to release control, but I mean control from like a more empowered state. Does that make sense? Like you have an active say in the creation of your reality.
Right. So kind of more management of.
Yeah, or more empowerment within,
Right.
more authority within, more ability to influence. So I used the word control because I wasn't sure what actually other word to use, but that's really sort of what I meant.
Okay, all right. And the 6 core essentials. Okay, so in all this work that you've done over the years, you have an understanding that there's a fundamental essential power pack that we kind of tap into or would use, like a toolkit kind of
exactly. So it's like, what do you really need in your toolkit? And when you put, like if you can imagine that your toolkit has like 6 amazing things in them that you can reach for at any time to help you whatever shows up in your reality. It will allow you to hold your space better. It will allow you to rise in your frequency resonance and to be able to grow and learn from whatever happens.
Okay, so let me just get this completely straight. So these 6 core essentials are things that we use, like we practice.
Yes.
They're not things that you reach into and say, magic wand, go away.
Right.
You know, it's like something that we have to use, and it's daily, right? A daily thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or as much as the thing shows up. So just for example, so the 6 core essentials are the following. They are confirm the removal.
Yep.
And what I'll say, sorry, I'm just going to back up out of this. The 6 core essentials can be practiced at all different levels of consciousness. Okay, so it doesn't matter what your frequency resonance is, and how you practice these 6 will shift as your resonance rises. So for a reason I said that is because, for example, when you begin frequency work, there's a lot of distortion to release. So the way that you confirm the removal is different when you start than as you gain more mastery and as you gain more authority and this knowingness that you are creating your reality. That happens as you strengthen, as you rise in your frequency resonance. It doesn't happen at the beginning. At the beginning, for most people, I'm not saying that everyone has this, but for most people, when they begin, it's kind of just overwhelming. They're just like dealing with all of these distortions, and they have to be really firm with confirming the removal.
Yeah, especially I remember at the beginning, I didn't even know what the distortion pattern was really. And then to confirm and delete it, I didn't even know how to.
Exactly.
But you've done a whole GFC on confirm the removal.
Yes. So the beginning step of confirming the removal, which is really important. Okay, it's your most important, actually the sixth, this is the most important one.
Yeah.
Because anybody who's done coherence mastery will know this, that the reason that's so important is because I release the distortion out of the field, meaning at frequency level. You, using your free will, have to release it out of the physical, mental, emotional plane, the heavier, denser planes that constitute you.
Yeah.
Okay? So you need to confirm the removal from that field by a very specific process. Okay? And the
Which is in your GFC.
Which is in the GFC.
Okay.
So if you just purchase a GFC, then you'll be led through it. As you rise in frequency resonance, you don't need to do it using that methodology anymore. In fact, you can confirm remove without going through all the steps or with the same vigor. It doesn't have to be the same. If you actually watch Mastering Momentum or Finding the Six Core Essentials, we talk about how confirming the removal shifts as your frequency resonance rises.
Okay,
so we give you practices for that as your resonance rises.
So you've done a whole Mastering Momentum, and that is basically focused on the six core essentials?
Yep.
Oh, excellent.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So the first one is confirming the removal, and we understand that as we rise in resonance, that we confirm the removal will adapt to suit that.
Yes, exactly. And confirming the removal gives you the most momentum and spare level.
Okay. All right.
So if you want to release your distortion patterns fastest, you need to confirm the removal.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, like you say, if we're this little ball of limitless consciousness, wrapped in a whole ball of duct tape, the more you get rid of it.
Yeah.
Right? The more you, right.
Yeah,
okay.
The faster you go in terms of your frequency resonance, the faster you start to vibrate, the higher your frequency resonance is, the more you are in sync with life, the more you come into flow, the more magic happens, the more there's synchronicity, all that sort of happens because you're rising your frequency resonance and your physical reality starts to mirror it.
Okay. So would you say, because sometimes in yoga, they have these step processes, but you kind of have to stay at this step one of, let's say, the core essentials, and you're not allowed to move on to the next step until you've mastered
Core,
the core essential number one.
Yeah.
So,
it's like if you're a Japanese, if you're within the Japanese framework, I've seen, for people who want to become sushi masters or things like this, it takes you like 3 years before you're even allowed to touch the rice. You know what I mean? Like you have to you have to practice like doing the eggs and the like seaweed for, you know what I mean? Like it takes a lot of mastery before you're even allowed to touch the rice, which is like a main part of the thing. But so it's not like that.
All right.
Okay.
A few.
So all of these core essentials do not have to be done in order.
Okay.
They don't have to be learned in a specific order. What's important is that that you understand that these six will give you the most momentum, and when you start combining them, it gives you exponentially more momentum. So if you can use them together, that's when things really can take off.
All right. Okay, so number one is confirming the removal.
Yeah.
Or one of the core essentials is confirming the removal.
Yeah.
Second one, or
is
number two?
holding your space.
Holding your space. And we've discussed this quite a bit.
Yes,
holding your space.
Yeah. So this is the famous episode 120, if you don't know what holding your space means. So holding your space means, I'm just going to bottom line it for people so it's easy. It means to be able to maintain the frequency resonance that is you, irrespective of what's happening around you.
So in the midst of chaos.
Yes, you hold where your resonance is. You're not affected by what's happening around you.
Okay.
So holding your space is a really critical skill set because that's an indicator of how strong you are internally.
Yeah.
You're not as influenced, and why that's important is because you start to realize that the external is really a projection from you.
Yes.
Okay? So the less you're influenced by what looks like chaos, the more internally strong you become, the higher frequency resonance, the more you realize, wait a minute, I'm creating all of this. So you want to maintain that resonance, and you're not influenced by the illusion in a way that's
And I can see how valuable that is if you're coming to confirm the removal, right?
Yes,
because
exactly.
You're not going to be able to confirm the removal if you're not strong enough to hold your space and resonance.
Yes.
I see why they're all interlinked.
All interlinked.
Yeah, and so we have confirming the removal.
Yep.
Holding your space.
Yes. And the third one is centering into the 0 point.
Oh, okay, now we're getting tricky. Okay, is this going to get technical?
It may or may not. So there's a whole episode on the 0 point and what its function is, why it's important, etc. I think it's episode 151 called Centering into the 0 Point, the Foundation of the Illusion.
Right.
So in order for you to have mastery over and influence over your reality, you need to understand the 0 point and then be able to sit in it. Because I'll bottom line it again, from my perspective.
Yeah.
Why? Because the way that our consciousness projects us and the illusion, your consciousness is projecting through these two coordinates of space and time.
Mm-hmm.
Where those two coordinates intersect, I call the 0 point.
Okay.
So this is just my language.
Yeah.
So the more you're aligned with that 0 point, this is like the space where your consciousness projects through. Okay, this is how you create your reality. So the more you're in that space, the more you're in alignment with life, really. Okay, so that means you can more easily be in flow, you can be more in ease, there will be more magic, more opportunities show up for you because you're not fighting life, you're in alignment with life. So the more you're in your 0 point, the more you can have abundance, the more you can feel your own brilliance, all this sort of stuff happens because you're in alignment with that very specific point through which your consciousness projects the illusion and you.
And so when you say in alignment, you mean when me, the physical person experiencing the illusion, comes more into alignment with that point at where I decided to project my consciousness?
Yeah, and you didn't really decide it, not you, the human you.
Right.
Okay, this is you at consciousness level.
Right.
Okay?
So I have to bring my daily life
Yes, as much as possible.
as much as possible, and I would do that by confirming the removal, holding my space. Okay.
And centering into your 0
the
point.
0 point.
So the 0 point is the intersection of time and space. So in Master Momentum, Refining the 6 Core Essentials, I think I go into it for a long time, like 40 minutes or something like this, in a very deep discussion about why it's important. But the upshot, like I said, is the more you're in alignment with this point, the more solid you feel, the more centered you feel, the more stable you feel, the more you feel like what we said at the very beginning, which is like you feel that life, it's not like you're controlling life, it's that you're empowered within it.
Right.
Okay?
So you're not the victim of.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. I can see how this is all helping to be more mindful and aware that you're in charge of how you experience the illusion.
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm running it through my head.
Okay.
6 core essentials of the secret sauce.
Yeah.
And so we have confirming the removal and
Holding your space.
Holding your space, centering into the 0 point. Now we have this other one that, you're going to have to explain that one.
Yeah. So the fourth ingredient to the super secret special sauce, let's just say there's 6 core essentials or 6 ingredients to the super secret special sauce. The fourth ingredient or the fourth core essential is what I call unified integration.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, what is that?
Sounds pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I've noticed is that for for some people who do frequency work, they want to sort of do the frequency work, like they want to listen to the meditations and that type of thing. Sometimes they confirm the removal, sometimes they won't, but they won't actually have a higher awareness of how they're behaving and how they're speaking and how they are in the world.
Right.
So let's just imagine that here you are doing frequency work, right? And you're trying to bring your resonance to here. And you're able to do it when you're doing the meditation. So here you are at this frequency resonance. But yet you have a total lack of awareness of how you are actually being in the world. Okay? Like you're not acting in integrity. You're abusive. You are being entitled. You are blaming. You are going into victim. Whatever it is that the thingy is, okay? So now your resonance is here. So how you're behaving and communicating is down here. So now you have 2 very different resonances. And what happens is it's not sustainable and people get stuck because, right, you have this resonance is very, very low. And then you're trying to move up. So it's like you're trying to accelerate with the brake pedal fully on and the handbrake, okay? Because, do you see what I'm saying?
Totally.
You're not acting in integrity with the resonance that you wish to be.
Right.
So as a result, you don't move, you stagnate. And I've noticed this in people, and I was like, why are they stagnating? Because they're missing this piece. the unified integration where it's like your behaviors, the way you speak. I mean, you're not going to be a perfect saint. I'm not suggesting that you need to be.
Yeah.
But as much as you are able to be aware of your behaviors and communications and how you are in the world so that they're in alignment with the frequency resonance that you wish to embody.
And it's almost like, as well, when I hear you talking like that, it's like, okay, so if you're trying to raise your resonance, but you're still behaving the same way, then you haven't confirmed any deletions.
That's right.
Okay, so you're just in that moment of time, you're in the vibe of that high resonance and lying back and sunbathing in it. And then, oh yeah, okay, I'm just going to go back to my normal life.
Yeah.
So you haven't confirmed the removal. You haven't really embodied it. So this is that point where unified integration catapults you up to this, being able to uplift your resonance.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right. Okay. So it's being in integrity through the all of you, right? So not just on frequency level, through the embodiment of you, through the physicalness of you.
Yeah.
How, and how you are. So even, for example, it's not just with others, but it's like to yourself. How are you treating yourself? Are you eating well? Are you, and we all have different levels of affordability. So I'm not suggesting that you have to eat like, pure glacial rain-washed carrots in order to be, in unified integration. All right. So I'm not suggesting that, but I'm saying, like, do you also treat yourself with integrity, in terms of like what you eat, how much you exercise, how much sleep you give yourself, whatever it is in your physical body. It's not just others. I'm talking about you too. So how you treat your body is part of that. And so it's about having the resonance exist through the entirety of you, not just you at spirit level.
Yeah.
And you came through embodiment to have an experience. So through the embodiment.
Yeah, and it reminds me of a story.
Yeah.
I was, at one point in my life, I was, learning to teach yoga. And I had an amazing teacher. And he said the same thing, you have to walk the walk.
Yeah.
And it's about the way you treat yourself, coming back to it. Authenticity and integrity.
Yeah.
So, if you are the yoga teacher that loves to eat chocolate and loves to eat meat, don't pretend you're not. Don't come into the class all and, I live on prana and I talk like this. And then 5 minutes later when you've left the class, you're cursing and swearing like a Navy SEAL or whatever,
Yeah, and downing a hot dog on the side of the corner.
Because the integrity is the point at where you accept you for who you are.
Yeah.
Right? With all your
messiness.
Human messiness.
Yeah.
But you know that you're working to, so this would be sort of akin to the unified integration?
Exactly, because it's not about perfection.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
It's about, as you say, acknowledging where you are, where you aspire to be, to notice where your weaknesses are, and to clean them up.
Yeah.
Right? And you're going to fall down. You're human. Everyone does. I think if someone pretends that they are so evolved that they never fall down, I would question how evolved they really are.
I think I'd be running the other way. Yeah, because it's a little bit like self-love, isn't it? If you can't accept you with all your messiness, how can you accept anybody else?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And, Okay, so I'm going to run through these again, and I'm probably going to have a brain fart here and there. So I might need your help a wee bit.
Okay.
So we've got confirming the removal.
Yeah.
We have got
holding your space.
Holding your space. Centering into the 0 point. Unified integration. Oh, 2 more to go.
Yeah, 2 more special ingredients for the special sauce.
Okay.
So the 5th ingredient, or the 5th core essential, is neutrality.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that makes sense because, if I want to work on something within myself, I've got to be able to accept that it's just a thing that I need to work on.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
So neutrality means that that we are not attached to any particular outcome.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
So it's okay that as things show up, that you can move into them. You know what I mean? Like, we're not... So please know when I say this is the state that you move into as your frequency resonance rises. Because people are like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm ever going to do that. And that's okay. So most of the time, as your frequency resonance rises, you'll be in this state where you're in flow, okay? So meaning, if you, let's just imagine, you, I don't know, go to Spanish class one day and you have a certain plan, right? You're going to go to Spanish class, you're going to get out of Spanish class, you're going to come home, you've got things you got to do for work, whatever. And then you've got to pick up the kids and whatever, dinner needs to be made, etc. Okay, there's like a little plan in your head about what it is that you're going to do.
Yeah.
Okay? So, but instead what happens is you come out of Spanish class and you bump into somebody you didn't expect.
Yep.
And instead of being like, oh, I'm sorry, I've got to go because I have this plan in my head of like what I need to do.
Yeah.
You kind of go with the person for a little bit, maybe even half an hour, and you have a conversation, you go somewhere else, and something else happens. Okay? And maybe you were late during the day for some of the other things, but somehow things sort out. But my point is, you're not so attached to that plan so that when something else shows up, you can actually move with it. Okay? This is a very physical sort of like example of this. But it's like, with neutrality, you're not so fixed on the outcome that you think you want. You can actually move in flow with whatever shows up. Does that make sense?
Totally. Well, I'm saying totally. And I'm also going to ask you a question at the same time.
Great.
Because there's a lot of women, they want this perfect relationship.
Yeah.
So would this be the same kind of discussion point?
Yeah,
that
exactly.
You think you know what you want, but when you move into neutrality, you might actually realize when it shows up in front of you, it's not actually anything like what you think it should be.
And what does show up, when you see it, you're like, whoa, I would not have picked that package.
Yeah, right?
You wouldn't have picked that package, and yet there the package is, and you're like, okay, whoa, strangely attractive, this package.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
So, and the neutrality also allows you to like notice yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? It gives you, neutrality also means that you have space from, distance from your own thoughts and emotions. Okay? It doesn't mean you're like this robot that runs around with no feelings.
Yeah, yeah.
It just means that you understand that your thoughts and your feelings don't define you.
And they're not you.
They're not you.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's something greater that is you.
Yeah.
Okay? So, yes, you have thoughts and your feelings, and they feel darn real when they're happening, right? You're just like, geez, this is pretty intense. But they're just a thought and a feeling. That's it. That's all they are.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you're neutral, and the more neutral you become, you can recognize, okay, I'm having this stupid thought, and it's not particularly helpful, and I can see that it's there, okay, and it's triggering me. Now, because I have distance from it, I'm going to like, where is the distortion causing this thought?
Yeah.
Or this prickly emotion that I can't seem to get away from, or whatever it is. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you have that neutrality, that distance, it's easier for you to have the ability to notice your emotions and your thoughts and to use them as tools to guide you so you can release the distortion that causes those thoughts and emotions.
So they're like little indicators.
Yeah.
Yeah, little alarms going off. Oi, 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 oi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's secret sauce number 5.
Yeah, ingredient number 5, yeah.
Do you notice I'm not going to run through them again?
Yeah.
Not right now, anyways.
Okay.
Number 6.
Number 6. So ingredient number 6 to the super secret special sauce, or the 6th core essential, is surrender from strength.
Oh, wait a minute. Surrender. Okay, so them two together just sound like an oxymoron.
Yeah,
right?
It does.
Surrender from strength. How?
Yeah. So, the reason you're having this like little like in the brain being like, like why are those two things together is because in our culture, surrender is usually a space of defeat, okay, or weakness, or like victim.
Or give up,
Or give up.
Like victim.
Yeah, like you're not empowered. You're actually totally weak.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we think of surrender, we think a lot of people have a hard time moving into surrender because they think, I don't want to be weak, which makes sense, right? Why would you want to be weak? So what I call surrender from strength is actually the opposite of how we define surrender typically in language. Okay. So what it is, first of all, you're surrendering only to pure source. Okay? You're not surrendering to anything else, just pure source, okay? And your higher self. That's it.
Okay.
And what the strength part is, you are at a high enough resonance that you know that you can transcend or overcome or somehow face whatever shows up in front of you. So you're like, okay, because I'm strong enough to do that, I can surrender fully because I know somehow, some way, I can meet that. And I'm going to strengthen and learn from it.
So if I was to put that in a way that was practical for me, it comes down to trusting myself.
Yes.
That I have the strength, the stability, the awareness, the mindfulness, and the resources, because I know I'm part of the highest level of consciousness.
Yeah.
To get through whatever I need to get through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a very empowered surrender.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And as a result, and it's funny, with surrender from strength, to me, my experience of it has been that it's been in layers. So meaning I'll surrender, like I'll go through something.
Yeah.
And then I'll surrender to that experience or whatever happens in that moment or whatever. My experience is I have to let go. Okay?
Yeah.
Because I used to be very controlling. That was the way I was in the world.
Yeah.
So I had to my first layers were about letting go of fear and control. So I had to surrender that.
Yeah.
And then it seemed like, okay, well, that seems to be the end, right? I mean, we're done with surrender, right?
Yeah.
But the answer is no. You're not surrendered everything you need to. And yet there's another thing that shows up that shows me, oh, I have to surrender even more. So what does surrender even more from strength mean?
Yeah.
It means that I let go of my will in the sense of trying to make things the way I want.
Yeah.
Trying to force a particular outcome.
Yes.
That's what I mean by that. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can put the chessboard, you can put the play in motion, but it may change.
Exactly.
So you know how to adapt and pivot to make the next move.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
So I may have a preference, just like you say, you put the pieces in the way that you prefer.
Yeah.
But then something knocks out one of those pieces and you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to move and do something else.
Right.
So maybe I was going to move my knight, but then instead I moved my bishop.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You're just like, okay, that's what's happened. All right, so how am I going to move in response to this and flow?
Yeah.
Okay? As opposed to like, resist. No, it should have been that way. I should have been able to move my knight, but yet I can't.
It should have been the way I wanted it to be.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean by surrender from strength.
Okay, awesome. All right, so that's your 6 ingredients of your secret recipe.
Yeah.
Can we run through the 6,
Sure.
just list them again?
Yeah. So ingredient number 1, or core essential number 1 is confirming the removal. Number 2 is holding your space. Number 3 is centering into the 0.
Yep.
Number 4 is unified integration. Number 5 is neutrality. Number 6 is surrender from strength. Now, surrender for strength is a doozy, okay? Especially for people who have been really successful or you've been trained to be successful. So I notice this a lot. I'm Asian, of Asian descent. Man, Asians, I'm just telling you all, if you're Asian, this is a hard one for you, okay? Because you are, at least from what I've observed from all the Asians that I have so far had the pleasure of working with, that lineage is geared towards success. And so surrender is not part of that equation, typically. Not big in that little equation for success. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's a thing. And in any case, that can be really hard for people who are control freaks.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds easy to say surrender from strength, but man, it takes a lot of courage to release your will.
Especially when you're invested in the outcome.
Very much so, which is why neutrality is, of course, number 5.
Of course, right? Oh, they're all linked.
They're all linked. To me, this truly is about empowering you.
Yeah.
Okay? Because, there's this whole assumption or viewpoint in the spiritual community that I've observed that we are broken, that we are weak, that we are need to be healed, that we are undeserving in some way. There's something fundamentally freaking wrong with us, right? And we need someone to save us, to heal us, to help us awaken, all this stuff. That's the old consciousness.
Yep.
Okay? You can do this. Now, does it take some work? Yeah. But the thing is, you are the one who liberates you. Now, I might help you, I might guide you to some degree, but you do this for you. The liberation is yours. And again, it may take some effort, but the thing is, the reward is your ascension, your freedom, the brilliance that you are. The experience of yourself as an empowered being able to influence the reality, to really experience what you want to experience in this amazing thing that we call embodiment.
And it's almost like, bringing the kingdom of heaven onto this earth plane, rather than this always having to exit the body to feel that amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it reminds me also of that phrase, the measure of a teacher isn't by how many students, but by how many teachers they help to create.
Yeah.
And this is what your work does, right?
Yeah, that's the point.
That's what you do. You empower people to become their own teacher. Yeah.
Exactly. So, exactly. Thank you. And it's really, truly, I'm not for everybody. If you want someone to heal you, bless you over the head, and say you're sorted, I'm not for you. And that's okay. But if you want to empower yourself to be your own teacher, and eventually, and as your frequency resonance rises, inspire others, it just happens as a natural consequence. And then you too will grant that in your own way to someone else. And this is how it ripples out, and how we all rise together.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I look forward to that.
Me too. It's already happening. It's so exciting.
Yeah. Let's rise together.
Yeah, totally. And if you've enjoyed this video, please click on the like button and share this with a friend. And if you've enjoyed this episode and would like to know when the next episode is live, then click on the red subscribe button. We're about to start the Group Frequency Calibration, or GFC, where we actually do the frequency work and where change is catalyzed. To get to the GFC, click on the square that'll appear to the right or the link in the description below. It's time to bring in a new experience, a new consciousness, and a new world. Let's rise together.